All right. How are we doing, everybody? How are we doing? Yeah, green for O'Reilly this year. I think I got the stuff fixed up, by the way. By the way, here's the green overlays we're gonna have from now on instead of purple. I think I got a lot of stuff fixed for the chat, so I think I'll be able to actually show you guys on screen more. But that was the 2026 United Rentals 300 at Daytona. The to kick off the new era for the O'Reilly series, for so many new names coming up through. No longer is it going to be just easy to, ink in. Connor Zilisch is finishing in the top 5 each week. It's a whole new cast of characters, and it starts very similarly to pretty much every race at Daytona we've had in the last, 3-4 years. Austin Hill gets the win again. I feel like you can go back to last year, and I'm probably saying something completely similar to this as well. Austin Hill, though, winning this race, he gets it just over Justin Allgaier, who put a pretty good run together to get back up towards the front. This race did not go into overtime, just a 2-lap shootout to regulation finish, 120 laps, 2 hours, 34 minutes, 19 seconds. I believe we also had a 13-minute red flag in there as well. 7 cautions for 36 laps, 15 lead changes. And yes, Austin Hill, the dominant force of super speedway racing, continues to hold that claim. Don't tug on Superman's cape, because that's basically what he has been so far. Listen, it can be annoying having the same person win, especially somebody who's so disliked by the fans. But you can't hate the player on this one. Can't really even hate the game. Like, it's about the field needing to get better at these tracks. He wins by 0.081 seconds over Justin Allgaier. After that, we got Ryan Sieg in third, Jordan Anderson with a 4th place run, Sammy Smith with a top 5, Ryan Ellis, 6th place run for him tonight. Then Carson Kvapil, Blaine Perkins, Jesse Love, and Raja Karuth. Now, in this race, Austin Hill swept the stages, won the race, but did not get max points. He ended up leading, 78 laps tonight? But he only got 75 points, not the max of 76 that you could get. He did not get the fastest lap award. That instead went to 10th place, finishing Raja Karuth. So there is at least, I guess, that shred of optimism for many of those who don't want Hill to succeed. But Hill, he's going to have a pretty darn big points lead. Chandler Smith last night scored 65 points, and he has a 19-point lead in the truck series. I would assume that lead is probably pretty similar for Austin Hill. I'd have to double check all that. But anyway, there is that. Anthony Alfredo, Nightmare Speed Weeks ends at least with a, I guess the solace of an 11th place finish. He was able to jump into the 4-car after missing this race initially. So he gets an 11th place finish. So a good 26 points he otherwise wouldn't have as a full-time driver. That can mean a lot by the end of the year, regardless of where you finish. Then Brennan Poole was 2nd on the super stretch, fell back to 12th after an ill-timed bounce off of the 7's front bumper. He finishes 12th. Patrick Emmerling in 13th. Retzlaff 14th. Kyle Sieg 15th. LeVar Scott in 16th. 17th is Balicki Staropoli in 18th. Carson Ware 19th. Carson Hocevar 20th. And 21st, Danny Dye. Those are your lead lap finishers. There were 3 more drivers that finished off the lead lap on track. They were Austin Green, 2 laps down, 3 laps down in 23rd for Luke Fenhouse, and last one on the track in 24th, 4 laps down, Sheldon Creed. The rest of these drivers from 25th on down out of the race today. 25th, Jeb Burton. William Sawalich, 26th. Corey Day, 27th. Taylor Gray, 28th. Harrison Burton in the 29th spot. Jones in 30th, Mayer 31st, Clements in 32nd, Decker 33rd. We'll have some stuff to say about that crash as well. Josh Williams 34th, 35th, Dean Thompson, Nick Sanchez in 36th, Gio Ruggiero in the 37th spot, and Mason Maggio, last place finish tonight, 38th. Finishing order will be down on the bottom right here. Out of 10, Let me know what you thought of that race. I'm going to be honest. I thought it was maybe about a 6 out of 10. I don't think it's as bad as many of you are saying. I also don't think it was as good as the truck race personally. Not even really close in the terms of quality of moves that could be made. I also think the Austin Hill tax will definitely be put on for a lot of people. And, again, I would like to see new people win too, but I'm not as upset, I don't think, as the rest of you. I'm more upset by the fact that the rest of the field won't make a damn move. Broadcast was a lot better tonight. I thought they did a pretty darn good job on the broadcast. So CW with basically NASCAR Productions doing a good job of elevating the I guess perception that we'll have of this series compared to the other one, to the trucks. Yeah. Yes. I love Adam Alexander's enthusiasm. I love the booth's enthusiasm. I just hope this year the CW and NASCAR keeps them all together. That it's not just only like 12 races, all three of them are in the booth. I want it to be like 25 to 30 races, all three of them are in the booth, and there's not somebody missing or there's a guest or something like that because of driving or whatever. Like I like these three together, and I think they can gel and have gelled pretty well. But I look through the running order of this thing, and I look at the laps led, and it was the RCR show. Outside of Austin Hill and Jesse Love, the rest of the field, I think, led 15 laps tonight, 78 going to Hill, 27 going to Love. Let's talk about the finish here, because I think that's something that a lot of us are probably going to be kind of pinpointing on and talking about a little bit. I think that, as they show the replay, they're right about the 7's front bumper, probably having that extra tape and everything is probably what was the issue between the 7 and the 44, making that work, getting a good bump that instead put the 44 out of the way. Looking on the screen now, once Jordan Anderson got beside Justin Allgaier, it was over. Those two racing side by side, the side draft between them and the loss of momentum also behind them. I think at that point it was over. I think honestly, it was pretty much over once the 44 was booted out of the way, just because nobody really could make that much of a move without that kind of help. And RCR's cars, on top of, again, Hill's pretty good at this type of racing too, so don't take away from the driver on that. But with RCR's cars being the best cars in the field, pretty damn good driver at this track, and having a bunch of damaged race cars behind him, it was over. The only way that I think somebody could have mounted some kind of run is if Jesse Love were up there to make that kind of run, another RCR car. At that point, though, with him out of the picture, with the damage that the rest of the field had, and pretty much when you look down the running order, Sammy Smith, had damage. He had a good car. But Love was probably the closest one that could actually hold a candle at the end. He finished 9th. And you look at the rest of the cars that were left, and maybe Raja made a few moves to challenge the 21 earlier tonight. Didn't have much damage, but was only able to get back up to the 10th spot. The others that could actually make moves, Mayer, Jones, Gray, Day, Zilisch, Creed even, all taken out or having bad damage way in the back. And so as long as Hill didn't mess it up, he was pretty much like a 90% chance to win, and he wasn't going to mess it up. He doesn't mess these up. He's just really damn good at them. One from the pole. And like I said, near perfect night. He was 1 point away from a max points night. And while, again, Daytona isn't going to matter necessarily in the biggest picture, just because points matter more, accumulating over a larger sample size matters more, Talladega's in the chase for the O'Reilly series. Talladega is going to make a really big deal, or be a very big deal for the championship, because Hill might not be able to keep up with the likes of maybe Allgaier, and maybe even Love and a few others that might be able to see just in racing on the other ovals and stuff like that. But if Allgaier and Love are his top competitors and they get taken out at Talladega and score 1 or 2 points, and Hill scores 65, 70, 75, maybe even a max points day, that is a much bigger swing than I think we would see one with the playoffs last year outside of just a win, but also it's a much bigger swing than a win would have given us during the 04 to 2013 iterations of the chase. So I think that it is a really big deal. The fact that RCR is still unbeatable, basically, without some kind of issue happening to the car or without someone, wrecking him, basically. So this is something worth noting. This is worth looking at when you look at the championship picture, because both of these RCR guys are going to be in the chase. They are good enough to be top 12 in points. There are not, I'll just say this, there are not 12 drivers and teams combined together that are good enough to beat the 21 and the 2 to get into the chase and keep them out. There just isn't. So I think this is really important to look at with it. Going and looking at some of the other stuff in the race, though, too. I wanted to talk, and I said one of the things that had upset me wasn't Hill winning. It was the way the rest of the field raced. And there is one clear moment for me where I was just so frustrated as a viewer watching, somebody who's watched racing for a long time and sees what others can do in these situations. And I put out a tweet and I said, I want Denny Hamlin in one of these races to show through example how to take advantage of runs and pass the damn 21. Like that's where I'm at now. And my buddy Eric quote tweeted me and I tweeted him on it. He said, when the 20 didn't go with the 18 a few laps ago, I audibly groaned. And I did too. I went, are you kidding me? Because while the 21 and the 2 are the best ones out there are others in the field that can make moves and keep up with them. The case in point, the 20 and the 18. Zilisch makes a move and goes down low, and there is a more than the car length below. Brandon Jones can follow his teammate, take the run, and the 2 of them can go to the lead, or at least the 18 can, and they don't take it. And we've seen it so many times where these drivers just don't take the damn runs. And then they're like, oh, I don't know how Hill keeps beating us. Well, 1, he's got the best car out there, and 2, he's really good at these tracks. But 3, you're not giving yourself a chance. And then at the end we saw where like, the damage, I think, to the 7 was definitely what was causing a lot of issues there. But the 7 and 32 really didn't work together the moment that something went up. Others behind them at different points didn't. Like, if you're gonna beat them, you gotta gang up on them. It's the same thing as back in the day when Hendrick was really good at these tracks, and when Roush was really good, and when they had the DEI dominance in Cup. You gotta gang up on these guys if you're gonna pass them. But it seems like everybody's trying to make moves. It reminds me of 2017 in the Clash, where Kyle Busch was pissed off at Alex Bowman because instead of drafting with him to try and go and get the lead on the last lap, he tries passing the 18 to go for the second spot. And it's the same kind of mentality here. And, I'm not Mr. Let's go pro bushwhacking and have 20 Cup drivers in the field again. I think Hocevar was, I believe, if he wasn't the only one, he was one of the only ones that's a Cup driver. I think he was. I want Denny Hamlin in the summer race at Daytona. I want to see Denny Hamlin go out there and with a car that's definitely going to be lesser than what the 21 is, see him go head to head, because I think that he can make up for the difficulties of the race car, where a lot of these other guys can't or aren't willing to make moves. I know I've talked to more than enough people that are in the back half or middle of the garage in the O'Reilly series who have said, hey, if I'm in a good position, I'm not pulling out to pass anyone. I'm getting this thing home. It's a big payday, a big points day. I'm not pushing the issue. And when the guys who pushed the issue were out as well, again, it made it even more difficult for that to be a move that could have been made on the 21. But that's what I'm more frustrated with. I'm not at all frustrated with Hill winning. I get that he's not popular, but there's been plenty of other guys that aren't popular that win a bunch of these races. To me, the blame is on the field. The field needs to get better at drafting or bring better cars at this point. You're not going to get me getting super upset at Austin Hill for being good. Some other moments too. At the start of the race, we had just, I hope what is not a bad omen for the O'Reilly era of an immediate crash. They had a slow start up towards the front with Hill, starting the field off slow and almost kind of hitting the brakes and going back. Takes out like 6 different cars. Anthony Alfredo was in that one. Thank God he was able to recover and finish well. It looked like the nightmare that would never end for him. Ironically enough, would have ended his race. But luckily he comes back to at least an 11th place finish. But that took out Maggio. That gave damage to a number of other cars out there. I think that I believe Brennan Poole was caught up in that. And he came back to run for the win. But after that, for the most part, it was a lot of 2x2 and choo-choo training, just single file. There was a really good, multiple times, Corey Day had really awesome saves, or at least close enough. He basically pulled a Cletus McFarland and spun it off turn 4 instead of completely totaling the car. Got at least the back half of the car hit, but was able to recover and continue on, though that car was not going to be perfect the rest of the night just because aerodynamics are so important here. And he had a number of good saves. The kid has a lot of talent. It's just about harnessing it and partially, I think, a little bit of luck, but at the same time, just getting him pointed in the right direction. He showed last year glimpses where when he got it figured out, he was as fast as anyone. I know super speedway racing is its own thing, but still, like he's got a full season ahead of him. I think he can shine a little bit this year. I thought there were some awesome saves by him. I think Raja had an awesome save. There were a couple others as well, and so that was like sort of the precursor to the way the first stage would end. It ended with a big crash with the 8 and the 41, the 00, the 19, 25, 24. Pretty much all of them were cars and drivers who could have actually competed up towards the front. Unfortunately, for them, they didn't. The second stage, a little more chill. There was still, it was pretty racy, but a lot of the kind of crashes didn't exactly happen as much until we got to the last stage. And in that last stage, in my notes, I have, they are not taking runs to pass the 21 in big, bold letters. I want to talk about NASCAR and their officiating a little bit tonight. Not for anything bad either. They went iRacing relaxed yellows tonight, and they did it a little bit last night too. At one point, Austin Green, single car spin, no caution, even with him stopped entering into turn 1. There was nobody that was on the way for another 30 seconds or so. They did it last night as well. They did it when the 17 spun at the end of stage 1. They kept that green. I like that, honestly. They still called caution, say if like more than one car was involved, or if there were still cars coming, which I thought was the right call. But the last couple years in the lower series in particular, but also in a bit at the start of the year in Cup last year, they were very inconsistent. And I was just pulling my hair out a little bit. Like, why are we, calling this a caution, but not this? And this really wasn't a caution or a single car spin. My theory is that the stage breaks, I should say, not the stages, the stage breaks take so damn long that they have to kind of compartmentalize the broadcast down a little bit. That's my theory with it. But regardless of the cause, I hope NASCAR keeps doing this. I think it's the right call. I think they should have done it for a while. Now I get it. If it's like a single car spin at Martinsville or Bristol or North Wilkesboro, throw the caution. I get it. It's annoying if it keeps happening a lot, but there's just not enough time for you safely to know that person, that car can get it back going before the rest of the field gets there. But if it's a Daytona, a Talladega, a Michigan, hell, I mean, even if the cars aren't spread out enough, if it happens at an intermediate like a Kansas or Chicagoland this year, keep it green for a minute. See if they can get it back going, if there's no debris on the track. I hope they keep this going. I think it's the right call. I think it kept the race flow going pretty well. It broke up the pack a little bit. So it wasn't just sort of gridlock at different points. I think it's a pretty good way to go about it. And I hope that they keep doing it. Because it really, to me, it kept that race flow going. And with the stage cautions not going away at least anytime soon, race flow and having a good groove to the way the race is going, I think is really important for people. It's not like the old days when I was growing up where you could have 4 straight hours without a caution. Hundreds of laps at different tracks without cautions. The way, like they used to do at Texas or Michigan. So good job, NASCAR. Do that tomorrow. If especially with weather on the way tomorrow, do that tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, you might have noticed down here on the ticker, we will be live before the Daytona 500 tomorrow. We'll be live before they do their pre-race stuff. That stuff I think got moved back to 10:30, so we'll probably go live around 10:30 Central, I should say. So we'll probably go live around 10:15 Eastern. 9:15 Central tomorrow. I know for a lot of you guys it might be early, but Daytona 500, for those who don't know, has been moved up an hour tomorrow because there is the threat of rain around 5 or so local time, 4:35 local time, probably around that 3-hour-ish mark of the race, roughly. NASCAR wants to get as much as possible in. I will say this, if they have big thunderstorms roll through and they're like at lap 160, 170, I highly doubt they're going to wait 4 or 5 hours for the rain to go through, dry off the track, make sure everything's good to run 20 or 30 laps. I think it'll be pack them up. We're done. We got as much as possible. Let's go to Atlanta. But we'll be live before the Daytona 500 tomorrow. We'll be live after the Daytona 500 tomorrow. It's going to be nuts. Knock on wood that it all gets in. I really hope it does. I hope maybe vortex theory will work this time. But I applaud NASCAR on that, as well as moving the start time up an hour when they know it's an issue, moving it with the networks. That's as far as they can move it. And they have 24 hours to make that kind of move. I think that should be used more. It used to be used more back when I was growing up. I don't know why they stopped doing it as much, especially when there would always be like rain in the forecast. But hey, they're doing it this time. NASCAR's been doing pretty damn good with some W's. I'll say that. There have been others that haven't been good with W's, but we'll talk about a few of them in a minute. We did have green flag pit stops in this race, and it was broken up into 4 different groups. First, the RCR affiliates, like there were, I think the of course teammates, Retzlaff, the 32 and 27. Then they had like 2 more after that. William Sawalich got caught up in his own, that rough deal, unfortunately. And then about the main pack a few laps after those first 3 groups got going. No real deals that blew everything up. The RCR affiliates did manage to basically run all of them down and get by and take the lead again. But with 29 to go, we get another caution. The 39 kind of going down the track a little bit into the 27 not really moving, starts up a big one. And you get guys like Jones in it, Allgaier in it. Sam Mayer was one of the biggest ones collected. Then he collects Jeremy Clements. And I think Gray was also in that one. And then the 35 of Natalie Decker pulls probably the worst ARCA brakes I've seen in a long time. Now I do feel bad for her that she, that she got hit that hard. And again, a lot of probably the radio call and everything was, probably anger and pain as much as being accurate. But you could count on probably 3, 4, 5 seconds before she rolls on into the 41 that doesn't have brakes. And I think it was, to me, it was rough, very rough. ARCA brakes, like I said, and then blaming the guy with no basically working vehicle. It NASCAR for the longest time has been if you got the money, you can come in and play. And the vetting process is not exactly perfect. But I think her and like Chris Wright last year and others have shown, especially with as much money and exposure the CW has brought to this series, maybe it might be time, especially for the top two series of NASCAR, that we're a little more strict on who gets to race, especially when it's years of constant, egregiously bad moves over and over again. And amazingly, this wasn't her worst PR move of the week, right? I guess, hey, she missed a red flag this time again, so there's that. I feel like we all kind of knew though going into this, like probably ain't making it through this race. I don't want to like start a giant dog pile, but it's just you see the same people do the same things over and over again, and it's not because who she is or anything like that. It's the same people doing the same dumb mistakes, and they don't need to be made. It's dangerous. This is not like, where you put in a third string quarterback and it's like, oh, I guess they weren't ready, but like they're an NFL quarterback, or this isn't like stick and ball sports, right? Where maybe somebody's not ready, you put them in when they're a little too green and they can improve, or they're just not too good, and then they work their way up from that. This is a series. This is a sport where you bring the money, you're in. And it's at the safety of everyone else be damned. And it's not, and the thing is like, and I see in here, well, Hocevar definitely keeps record. The thing is, Hocevar at least can go out and win races, show speed, and isn't a weapon every single time he's on track. He shows a ton of upside. When there's no upside after 7 or so years, I think at this point of being in this series sporadically and the truck series, it's like, it's time to move on, right? We said the same thing about Steve Wallace back in the day, right? He finished top 10 in points in the series, even with the Bushwhackers. I'm not crazy about it. And let's see, Jeff Gluck. Wow, Jeff Gluck had put out earlier. Apparently, this today was the final practice of the year for super speedway races, for the Cup Series. Damn. But with that, after a 13-minute red flag, they get it back going and crash them up again. I mean, we kind of knew at that point, once the field got bunched back together, once there was desperation, once there were guys who were good in the back that needed to move their way forward, we kind of knew this is going to be just desperation, moment. And so we had a crash there. We had debris from the 27 after that. And the one with 21 to go, by the way, was the big one. And then another wreck with 6 to go with Raja and Hocevar. Brought up earlier about Hocevar. But from there, you get the 2-lap run to the end that we talked about. And I'm not upset that Hill won, honestly. Like, like I said earlier, for those who have jumped on in now, I'm more upset with the fact that the field won't make a damn move. Or when they do make a move, that somebody else with them doesn't work together with them. Again, like I said, I don't want it to be flooded with Cup guys, but if Denny Hamlin were in this race today, I'd be happy because Denny would have made a move. He might not have beat Hill. I still think Hill could probably beat pretty much any of the Cup guys that come down just because he does have better equipment. And like I said, I do think he's good at these races. There's a reason he wins a lot more of these races than Jesse Love does. But I would like to see a little more competition from those who are drafting competent. And a lot of these guys are not competition because they're not drafting competent. It's a shame. It's a shame because I do think that this was a decent race. I don't think it was necessarily a good race, but it was like around that 6 out of 10 range for me. I thought that it was racy enough. Guys were able to move their way forward at points. At one point, with 14 to go, Austin Hill pits for tires, restarts 12th. By the time there's a caution at the start of 11 to go, he's second. And you're like, at that point too, you're kind of like, it's done. He's going to win. I put him in on the ticker as winning at that point. I'm like, there's no way they hold him off. And they can all take tires behind him. There's no way they get past him when he gets to track position. I think that's another thing too, is if you have a really good car, track position is so important at these races. Um, it's hey, I would like to see more guys go up and win too, but they got to actually go up and win it. I gotta say, I liked Raja making moves. I thought he made some pretty good moves. Sawalich was trying to make moves. Like, people were trying to make moves. It's just others didn't go with them. So, but RCR has it figured out, man. They got to figure it out. They are the dominant team of the decade at this type of racing at this point. Like, at first it was colleague, but they kind of fell off once it got to like 22 or 23, definitely. RCR has just taken the mantle and ran with it. They're head and shoulders above where colleague was at this point. And you know what? I kind of agree with this too. A lot of guys who are scared because, oh my gosh, I might lose like the 6th position trying to help somebody in a line get to the lead. It's kind of a coward racing too. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And to be fair, Jordan Anderson trying to make a move, but because of the way that the how damaged the 7 was, I think the damage to the 7 is what blew up a lot of the attempts that could have been made at the end. But once he got side by side with the 32 and the 7 got side by side, it was over. They were just bogging each other down. There was nobody coming with some kind of good draft behind them. And Hill's car was so strong, he just ran away with it. And the thing is, we might see the exact same thing next week. RCR hasn't been, I don't think, necessarily as dominant at times speed-wise. They might have led more laps at times, but they haven't, I don't think, at least feel-wise, been as dominant at Atlanta. Sometimes it's just fallen into Austin Hill's lap. Like, I think, was it last year or the year before, one of the two, where he was running like 6th on the final restart. Everyone ran out of gas in front of him or was bogged down by people that ran out of gas, and it fell into his lap. But I do think we're more than likely will see the same next week. One of these two cars is probably going to win the race next week. And it's going to be on to Coda before we start seeing like how it really plays out. But it's going to be more than likely a very big early season lead for Austin Hill, which will probably set the tone for a lot of the points racing early on in this season. But you know what? Overall, I think this Speed Weeks has been, for the most part, again, the duels weren't really crazy good, but it's been decent to pretty good for the most part these Speed Weeks. I thought the ARCA race actually wasn't too bad today either. It's just, not enough competitive cars out there to make moves. Which is kind of the feel this one had too. But I've had a fun Speed Week so far. And maybe that's just because of how awful the offseason was. I'm glad they did a bit of a tribute on top of talking about Greg Biffle. They also talked about Michael Annett. After all, he won this race years ago, and he raced in this series for so long. I think he deserved it to be mentioned and talked about and remembered. And I feel like, I get why, but I feel like Michael Annett's passing has definitely been sort of pushed to the side after what happened with the Biffle family and that tragedy. And I'm glad that they gave ample time to both. I think that was a good move on the CW's part. But yeah, I'm with you guys. Like, I think the Truck Series was the best race so far of the week. I really do think it was. And yeah, I hope tomorrow they do a silent lap 60. Knowing Fox, they'll probably go to commercial. They'll probably go to commercial at like lap 12 and then come back and be like, and we just had our silent lap 16 while we have to listen to like the 50th Brestree commercial in a row. We'll find out. Let's see. Let's go now to the Super Chat cooldown lap. I'm glad that we've been able to kind of incorporate the name into the NWP side of it too. By the way, again, we'll be live tomorrow at about 10:15 Eastern time in the morning to do pre-race. We'll make sure I'll make sure to try and get it done before Fox goes live with their pre-race. Daytona 500's been moved back an hour, and then whenever it ends, whether due to rain, go into the full distance, next day, whatever the hell it has to be, we'll be live after the Daytona 500 as well. And then this Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, NWP on this channel with Danny B Talks, Eric E. Step. So subscribe. We do this after every race all year, unless something crazy like the Clash gets moved to Wednesday or a tornado hits me. We will be live after just about every race. So subscribe if you're new. We'd love to see all of you guys. Let's do the super chat. cool down lap here. Jeffrey King and a few others left super chats before. Unfortunately, I don't have it popped up on my queue here. I do have it on the other side, so I can read it. I just can't, show it. But Jeffrey King left 3 in a row here, said, couldn't join the stream last night. Congrats, Chandler Smith and the 38 team. Ram was slightly off. And I agree on the Ram part, which I expected that too. And I think a lot of people did. I don't think any of us really expected Ram to come in and just blow everything up. I think we all kind of expected it's going to have some growing pains, but I will say, even for super speedway standards, if you compare it to like when Toyota jumped into Cup, I still think a pretty good entry into NASCAR for the most part. Let's see what they can do at Atlanta. And then they're off to St. Pete, where probably be a lot more driver centric with it. He also said that end of stage 1 crash, I called it. I think I saw you in the chat with that, and I think a lot of people called it too. You also said you left a good amount. God damn. But I appreciate it. I'm not mad. I appreciate it. Also, Decker was just slow on reflexes, and I don't blame her for speaking out in pain. That looked painful. Yeah, I don't blame her for being upset. I just blame her more on just, like I said, slow reflexes, bad move. It's just dangerous because we've seen that happen a lot of times. But I hope she's all right. It looked painful. She sounded in a little bit, shaken up. I hope she's okay. Obviously, that's a given. But maybe having somebody who's that ill-equipped to avoid trouble maybe shouldn't be at a super speedway, or maybe even a road course after what I saw at Road America a few years ago. Also said before the finish, he left this before the finish, but if RCR wins, why are we hating? We are spoiled to parity on drafting races, but it used to be that speed mattered. That's the thing. I'm not complaining about RCR or Hill winning. I'm complaining about the rest of the field making stupid moves constantly and making sure the best cars win. The thing about super speedway racing is you can, through a good driver who understands the draft, close up that gap. Also says that Hill car was illegal. No way. And said great points day for Allgaier as well, who finished second. So good. It was a good points day for him. How many stage points did he get today? Because you bet a 20 point hole to the winner just off finish. But Allgaier got 8 points in the second stage and 7 points in the second one. So he's got 50 points. So he is 25 points back, if my math is correct. And again, maybe it's wrong, but roughly a little more than Eckes is behind Chandler Smith. I don't think people realize how much more of a difference points-wise wins are going to make him now compared to, again, to that 04 2013 era of chase formats. It's going to make a bigger difference. I think it'll be shown in a much larger scale in trucks in O'Reilly, but it's going to make a big deal in Cup too. I was running through the 2007 season with the way that the current chase and points payouts are, and after Charlotte, I want to say, it looked like Jeff Gordon had this baby locked up. He was nearly a full race in front in points. And again, I know they would have raced differently, hypothetical, yada, 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 stuff I said 10 years ago. But it looked like he had it wrapped up. And then Jimmy Johnson rattled off 4 in a row, and Jimmy looked like he damn near had it wrapped up. It ended up being a much closer finish, even proportionally points-wise, than it was in the original chase. But that's also because it awarded Jeff Gordon for the good season he'd put together a bit better than the old chase format did. But I think that people are going to be really surprised this year, because I've been looking through different seasons, different hypotheticals. There, I said the word there again. I don't know what the hell just fell. It scared the hell out of me. I hope you guys didn't hear that. It scared the hell out of me. Something fell on me. Or on my foot at least. But I've been running through a lot of these, and it's like there's going to be some differences in this one. And I think it'll be more volatile of point swings. Bailey also says, my rant, Hill winning these races is never impressive. Every year they just hand it to him. Good job, Justin, just handing him the win. Such a waste. I don't want to take away, because the amount of times Hill has won these races Like, I get it if this is maybe 2 or 3 times total over, like, a 5-year span. Like, okay, yeah, I can understand, like, this race here, this race here, this race here, but when you're up front leading this many laps, this many times, I get it. Don't get me wrong, it pisses me off that they don't make these moves, but that's the thing about moves that aren't made is we don't know whether or not they would have worked out. Raja made some pretty damn good moves tonight and did not end up clearing the RCR cars. That might have happened with the other ones. But the problem is I just want to see them make the damn moves, you know? That's all I want to see from them. Let's see. Max here says, I feel like wasting my time. Let's see. Feel like wasting my time when I feel like I was knowing the result, an RCR car winning at a drafting track. No surprise. I should stop after lap 100. Yes and no, because people said the same thing about the colleague cars constantly winning. And then I think at one point they had like a 1, 2, 3, 4 finish, and then they fell off. And people said the same thing about DEI back in the day in the Cup Series. And like going into 05, you're thinking it's going to be the same damn thing. And the team ended up falling off. Hendrick, same thing. Roush, same thing. Gibbs at times, same thing. So it ebbs and it flows. Uh, Probably it'll be like that, but at some point the switch is going to flip, and you never know what race that'll be. Roman numeral 3 says that is one man versus the world, and he keeps winning. He does. Bailey says, let's see. Bailey says I'll never be impressed like I was for Junior or Stewart winning O'Reilly openers. I do think that those ones back in the day, and this isn't again a thing to push down on Austin Hill's success, but I do think that those ones back in the day definitely were more competitive fields. So I do think they are more impressive personally, um, but I still think this is pretty good too. Jeffrey also says 7 out of 10 chance the 21 fails tech. I doubt it, unless they find something they've been doing all along that's been really well hidden. Below the apron says, obviously, Decker don't know how to use the brakes. Yeah, very much. Let's see. Love him, or most people hate him. You cannot deny his skill at this style of racing. I can't even be mad anymore at how much he wins at plate tracks. That's the thing. Yeah. If it were Love and Hill pretty much even every single time, be like, all right, it's just the car. Like, it's just the car at this point. Ooh, something needs to be done. Are they cheating? Whatever. But the fact that Hill really does get the lion's share of the winning done and laps led for the most part in these races shows to me there is a bit more there than just, oh, it's a good car. And I think that gets lost in it because Hill is pretty damn hated in this series. I mean, I made a video last year about Austin Hill a few weeks after the Indy thing. And the suspension and other things like that. And it did pretty good numbers for my channel, especially at the time of the year. And that was for an O'Reilly series video. And most people don't really like to keep track of the O'Reilly series through the week the way that they do the Cup series. Austin Hill brings up enough vitriol in people that they will tune in if they think that it's going to be something negative about him. So I take that into account in a lot of your guys' reactions too. I get it though. I get it. Let's see. My disappointment is immeasurable. I get it. Can we just admit that Hill is the equivalent of Stewart of these races? I think he's closer than a lot of people want to admit. I do think he is. At some point, though, we'll look back and you know, the way that people remember it historically will be probably how it's remembered. Turn that 21 into a flea, a harmless little flea. Leave it to Natalie Decker to say, hang on, guys, I want to be part of the wreck too. Oh, God. Let's see. As a Ford diehard, this season is going to be miserable to watch. P.S. Austin Hillbilly sucks. 4 out of 10. I think there were 3 Fords in the field. Y'all can probably let me know as well. There were 3 Fords in the field. Something like that. Focusing on points now is going to take some getting used to. Not all being about wins will be nice though. Yeah, I have been really looking forward to this because drivers, if they want to compete up front, are going to have to be smarter. Like wins will make big swings, yes, but it's not going to be the way it was during the playoff era, the elimination chase and playoffs. Uh, so points will add up. I was looking at the finishing order of this race, and Sheldon Creed finished 24th. At one point, he was 37th after a crash. If he would have went out, he would have scored 1 point. Because he finished 24th, that is 12 more points that have been given to Sheldon Creed and the 00 team. Now, that might not make the difference between making the chase or not. I think he's going to make the chase, but that might be the difference in seeding, right? And I have it over somewhere written down. But if, say, instead of fourth position, those 12 points make the difference between being fourth position entering in and second position. That's 10 points difference in chase seeding, or not 10 points, 15 points, isn't it? Yeah, 15 points. 15 points, like difference at the end of the year, at the championship side of things. That could make a huge difference. And anyone can do that too. Points will matter a lot more with how it is seeded out going in. Decker continuing to set women in NASCAR back by crying about a wrecked car not using her brakes while also not using her brakes for 3 business days. I hope people don't just look at it from the lens of like a woman driver, because I think there's going to be plenty of badass girls coming up through the ranks. Decker ain't one of them. Thank you, Zena, for being a member for 16 months, by the way. Let's see. How awesome is it having the Craftsman Truck Series and O'Reilly Auto Parts Series? Now we just need another badass sponsor for the Cup Series. Then we'll be set. I honestly don't mind it just being the Cup Series. Yeah, I think it being the Cup Series will be fine, honestly. Rather than rebranding, because rather than rebranding it every 5 to 10 years, the way that the trucks and the, I guess, Grand National Series, the way people used to call it, the way they've done that might not hurt those as much, because these series are more for the diehard, especially the Truck Series. I don't know anyone who watches the Truck Series as a casual fan. But for the Cup Series, if it's, if you look since 2003, you had the Winston Cup for the longest time. So if you entered as a fan in like 02 or 03, you had the Winston Cup for a few years, and then you had the Nextel Cup for like 4 years or so, and the Sprint Cup for 9 or so years. And then it was the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series for 3 or 4 years there. And now for pretty much the 2020s, it's been the NASCAR Cup Series. I think just leaving it as NASCAR Cup Series will be the smarter marketing move, because people be like, oh, Cup. Like much more of the casual side of fans, the lesser than the diehard fans, are going to be looking for a Cup Series, the Cup Series. It's like when you look at Formula One, like you just look for Formula One. You don't look for the Formula One Heineken Series presented by DraftKings. Maybe they'll go that direction at some point. That they're speed running the NASCAR ascent and descent in America. But I think leaving it as the Cup Series is a simple way to go, and having multiple sponsors is probably easier to sell than one big sponsor. So I'm okay with it. I am okay with it. And I think the chat on my end completely broke again. I love what StreamYard's been doing. Did you hear about the Ford Mustang GT3 that got destroyed in a collision with a kangaroo during the Bathurst 12-hour debut? I did not. I will have to look for that after we get done tonight. Well, shit. Retzlaff with a great race until the end. That's just Daytona at this point, unfortunately. Giants Nation show. I don't know why I can't read right now. These streams are great for the drive home from all the Daytona races. Thanks. No problem. Anytime. And I hope you have a great time tomorrow. I hope they get the full race in for you. And I apologize for some reason of completely brain farting and not knowing how to read. The American education system, well at work. Not trying to hate on Corey Day because I know he's still new to super speedway racing, but I still don't see the hype around Day, especially driving a Hendrick car. I think a lot of it is the upside they're looking at with it. Definitely so far, he's not shown it. And so far, it's been pretty bad. There's been some moments, right? But I think the way that Hendrick's looking at it is they're one, they put a lot of money and effort into him, but two, is kind of that diamond in the rough. We got to clean it up a bit, got to kind of mold him a bit. Remember, he is pretty young. I want to give him at least a little bit of time, but I get it. I get it. He's going to be in one of the best cars in the field all year long. And I want to see what he can do at road courses, short tracks, and intermediates. That's what I want to see this year. I want to see if he can impress at those type of races. We got one here. I will emphasize what I said on NWP. Nat Wrecker's sponsor should join Heim along with rights and see a profit. Yeah, but sometimes sponsors sign on for different reasons than being good on the track. Let's see. Never thought I'd see Carson Ware, the one with the face tattoo who's been to jail, arguing with Hocevar on pit road, and Ware being the more mature one. To be fair to pretty much any of the Wares, they have definitely, I think, had a little self-reflection over the years. So I'm willing to see if, especially if they don't cause dumb decisions, and don't do dumb things, if they're harmless, so be it. O'Reilly Field went, all hail Austin Hill. I'm assuming it meant the all hail Plankton. Let's see. Old and Fat. That's a name. Says, shout out to the CW for making actual Victory Lane interviews a thing again. That's right. That's right. Because they did one Victory Lane interview after Duel 1 for Fox, but then they did the rest of them have been front stretch interviews. So yeah, credit to them. I like it. I wonder if they're supposed to, because I know a lot of times they'll stop in the front stretch still, even though they're not being interviewed. If they're supposed to do that for the photo op, or if they just do it because they're used to it, or what, or maybe it's just a choice. But yeah, Victory Lane interviews for the win for me. If we had Victory Lane interviews for the last 5-6 years, Brandon Brown would still have a career in racing, and I hold to that. That team, the way that team and that driver, the direction they were going before Talladega 2021. And I was there in person too. So I remember all this happening right in front of me. But the direction that they were going as a team, they might not have, knocked it out of the park and been amazing at everything. But between bad moves after that, bad press because of it, I wholeheartedly say front stretch interviews killed Brandon Brown's team and career, and that they would have been in a much better place today, racing wise, had it not been for that. Let's see. Baccarella showed class for giving Alfredo the 4. There definitely were some deals though. There happens every year at Daytona. It was the same way back in the day, where if somebody maybe brings money, support, something like that to a team, they're willing to play ball on that side of it too. Hey Jarrett, did you see the Instagram reel of Cup drivers reading NASCAR romance novels? Can't believe they did that. Also, can't wait for the 500. I didn't know that happened. Did I start a trend? Because everyone's going to credit NASCAR casting, but I did it years before. We'll find out. Did CW tell all the drivers to give Cletus level interviews? Every driver gave a pretty reactive interview, like more than usual, extra reactions watching their own crashes. It was worried. I don't know if they maybe told them or if they just felt more open to do so. But I'm here for it. I found a lot of the drivers now have more personality than they've been let on to show. Maybe NASCAR was like, all right, we'll kind of open the gates a little bit on that. I don't know. Maybe they did though. Oh, and you said weird. Okay. So, they will never learn. Do not push Hill to the lead. I know. I was saying that at one point. I'm like, why are we pushing him to the lead? You're just giving the race up yourself, man. I don't know. I don't know, man. Bailey has one here. Did Decker learn from Chris Wright on how to not take accountability? Same track. They did both. And they did this same track. They both did something dumb. Maybe. I mean, I'll be honest. The Chris Wright one was worse. That was way worse last year. We still got this from Chris Wright last year. If I can find it. This dude's gonna catch strays from our chat, from like this chat and all of us for eternity. Immortals also left one, or Immortal 6149, I should say, left one saying, man, I remember when I was a junior fan, the drivers got sick and tired of him winning, so they put him in uncomfortable spots. These drivers don't do that. Yeah, I remember as a junior fan back in the day, guys would just leave him out to dry at different points, and he would basically, especially once Mikey wasn't at DEI anymore those last couple of years, but even when they really wouldn't work together in 2005, like he really didn't do it with any teammates. And Hill has shown he can do the same thing without any teammates. But yeah, a lot of these drivers, they don't put him in uncomfortable positions. They don't make moves on him. They don't do any of those things. They need to. Please do so. Make it interesting for us. But I don't know. I think that's it. So again, I know I've said it a lot, but I just want to make sure everyone remembers we will be live around 10:15 a.m. tomorrow Eastern time for pre-race. I'll try and get it done before we have the Fox pre-race show start up. Be live after the 500 as usual. So subscribe if you like these post-race shows, because we'll be doing it for the big race tomorrow. And then live on Wednesday for NWP on this channel with Eric Estep and Danny Beat Hawks coming on. Should be a lot of fun. But Speed Weeks is almost over. One race to go. Let's hope it's an awesome one. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. I appreciate all of you. Have a great Saturday night, or at least rest of your Saturday night. And I'll see you tomorrow. Later.